What's going on? Today is Wednesday, October 9th, and I had a pretty rough day today in the markets. And I wanted to kind of use this as a case study. And I think kind of relaying some of this information to YouTube, to you guys, is kind of be beneficial because I thought it was pretty insightful. I thought I dealt with a lot of impulse earlier this morning, and I had some interesting insights about that. And then at the end, I think it was interesting to do. I entered a trade, which I thought analytically was pretty sound, and I did a funded account trade, and then I also simultaneously did a paper trade, essentially as a swing trade, kind of like as a case study to figure out like if this thing was really going to work. But like first of all, this morning was pretty rough. It was very rough. So like this morning, I started with a lot of like trying to catch the market in a lot of places, and I traded on MNQ. And I just made some pretty poor mistakes. I came into this morning, I saw the market moving, and I was like, man, I got to get in here. So I got chopped around. I threw some micro contracts around, and this morning, pretty much before 11, I had lost about $60. I mean, it's pretty small stuff. Lost $60, but during this 2 hour period, I guess, 1 to 2 hour period, there was a moment and I finally came to. I felt like I had just gone unconscious for the last like 2 hours, and I just felt this, almost like this different part of me that almost like had control of me, and that was making the decisions. I'm not saying that to like offload responsibility for discipline, but when I finally recognized what I was doing, it was kind of like, okay, let me, like, what was that? Who was that? What part of me was that? The ego part of me that really wanted to make money and to validate myself, or for sure wasn't my true self. It wasn't my higher self trying to make those decisions. So again, just kind of an interesting, like, what happened? What part of me needed to make money this morning, and like to prove myself, to prove my worth with this trading account. So just really interesting case study to think, like, when these things happen, like what parts of you are pulling the strings? What parts of you, maybe parts that feel less than or feel less worthy, are they using trading as a way to prove your self-worth? So I guess, not really giving you the answers, but maybe if you can leave here today with an interesting case study or an interesting way that you could kind of approach your own trading and start to ask these questions for yourself if you deal with these same issues. So it's kind of why I like this channel, right? The whole point of this channel is essentially to do those things, right? To do to ask the hard questions, to show the hard things, and to try to be transparent in an attempt to figure out how to day trade, right? So this morning, that was kind of tough, but I quit out pretty quickly. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to do any more scalping. And my objective was to move to the higher time frames. And so I was actually eyeing this. I've been kind of toying with Tory Trades' 4-hour trendline swing trading strategy. And for some reason, it's not updating here. And so I had been watching this downtrend on Platinum, this downtrend right here. And the theory behind this was, this was probably a necessary market correction after the run up that we've had, and that we were going to continue more up after this. So after a couple of days, I think 4 or 5 days of selling off, we had taken liquidity overnight, and we had actually come pretty close to 950. We didn't actually hit 950, but 948 to 950 on Platinum has been a pretty important level for me. And I've had that one essentially just as like a support level here. And so what I did was, the continuous contract is also a little bit different too. So Platinum continuous contract is slightly different in how it took liquidity and where it took liquidity. But but I digress. Basically, what I looked for here was after we took liquidity this morning, I wanted to get in. So I did two things, right? This is a paper trading account right here. So this active trade that you see is a active paper trade that I'm in right now. And so the theory is I'm testing to see if the swing trading strategy will actually work. And the way I'm doing that is with the paper account, and I'm holding these trades like I'm going to plan to when I actually get to that point. Right now, I can't do that. I'm on prop firms, so I'm specifically with Top Step, so I actually have to liquidate my trades by 4:10 Eastern, and then I can essentially, if I want to swing trade, I can essentially just re-enter at 6 p.m., reset my stop loss, reset my target, and hold from 6 p.m. all the way to 4:10 the very next day, and then do the same thing over again. So it's not ideal, but what's interesting about this process, though, is like for this, it's easy because, again, it's not a funded account. I can just set it and see if it works. But the interesting aspect of putting on the same trade in two different accounts is because on the, what am I doing here? So on the, this was very interesting because when I entered, let's just go on the 15-minute here. It's a little easier to see. So when I originally entered, I got in at 960. So we're talking right here, essentially right as it was breaking the trend line. So this was kind of the theory behind it. And I was going to set what I thought to be an appropriate stop because my objective was to do the, hold until close the position, reopen at 6 p.m., and then continue that. So that was the original plan. The only difference between the two trades that I put on, the first trade on the paper account had my stop below 952.8 right down here, which was a $390 stop, as you can see over here, which is pretty steep because actually my risk parameters on my funded account don't even let me do that, and let alone the trades that I had taken just a couple of hours prior, or maybe an hour or so prior, not even. Those trades that I had taken prior had taken up $60 of that drawdown, that drawdown that I had for myself. So what I did was I set about $150 stop loss on this particular trade, where I kept my target way up here. I didn't have any particular target because I was just going to let it run. But the interesting thing was I'm allowing myself a $300 stop, maximum daily loss, essentially. So that's $60 this morning, and then the $155 stop afterwards. What I ended up doing was I set about $150 stop, which turned out to be right about here, or let's see, maybe 957.3. I ended up getting stopped on this pullback. Now, I did, with my maximum daily drawdown, I did actually have a little bit more room. So in theory, I could have moved my stop here, but I was trying to be disciplined. And in my mind, I was thinking I can always re-enter. I ended up getting stopped here, and it's just interesting, right? Because on the other account, the plan is going according to plan. Well, the plan is going according to plan. On this account, I get stopped because of, I don't know about poor placement, but maybe just not enough risk for my stop loss. And then I don't know if it was some of the prior emotions from this morning creeping in, because again, it just felt like this seemed like such a high quality trade setup if I had the opportunity to actually swing trade it and just like set it and forget it and let it run. And so I think getting stopped out here and then having it take off again, and the emotions from this morning, I got back in, right? Because I was like, okay, this looked like a liquidity sweep. It was taking these stops here, getting some liquidity to, for another move up. So I ended up getting in again. So this one worked out a little bit better, but again, I was a little afraid to I don't know if it was afraid to lose money or if it was I just wanted to secure some green. But long story short, I moved my stop up with this move, and I ended up making like $80 back. So I think I ended the day down like $150, which making a video like this for $150 loss, people are like, well, I've lost way more than that. And that's fine. But this is more than just the money at this point. This is more documenting the mindset that went into my day today, which is the impulse trading this morning, right? It's not a lot of money, but it was wanting to catch the move and wanting to be there and wanting to make money and like needing to make money in some capacity. And then this afternoon, it was having a pretty well thought out swing trade, not having perfect conditions because of I messed up the stop placement, getting stopped out, still feeling like the trade is going in my direction. And so kind of a lot of moving parts, a lot of interesting things. But again, I'm documenting my journey here, and I'm documenting what I think to be pretty important, I guess you could say, mental errors this morning. So not being connected to myself. And then this afternoon, just letting less than ideal conditions make me make worse and worse mistakes. So again, $150 loss today, not the end of the world. I can manage a $150 loss on a funded account. I just need to be a little bit better in being able to put the risk on when I need to put the risk on. I think that would have solved this morning's problem. And I would have been able to close at 4 p.m. I would have been able to close, green. When 6 p.m. comes, I can reopen the position, set my stop loss, and let it go again. So today could have easily been a simple green day had, number one, maybe I had not gotten stuck in the impulse trading from this morning. And then number two, probably put the risk on when I need to put the risk on. Make sure my stop was, what it needed to be, which, really the stop needed to be down here at 9,525, down below this low. And that's where my stop was here. It's still intact. This trade, yes, it's a paper trade, but it is still intact and it could still work out over the long term. So I am, again, just an interesting case study into my mind. If this can be valuable to anybody, that's why I'm doing this. And yeah, that's the important part. I'm trying to be better so I can look back on these videos and I can say, like, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust? How can I make sure I'm able to put risk on? How can I avoid those impulse trading decisions in the morning? Kind of not necessarily tilt, just really wanting to be a part of a trade that I don't necessarily need to be a part of. So very interesting stuff. If I hope some of this can be of value to you guys. If it is, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you want. That'll let me know that people actually enjoy this stuff and actually find value in this. So if you watch this stuff, I appreciate you guys, and I will continue to update you guys on my trading journey and what I'm going to do next in life. Appreciate you guys. Peace.